Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens. Hello, everybody. Before I was rudely interrupted by Gav there. Welcome to the Untitled Podcast, episode 50, a half century. Gav, what's your big stat for episode 50?
Well, the big stat, sort of in jest, is that this is the amount of Grand Slam titles Cilic would have won without the big three or big four being there.
Yeah, that's the most universal.
Obviously, taking that what you will, but as an eternal optimist, as I'm sure people are aware by now, that is roughly in the ballpark of where he would have been. I think would have ended up maybe a bit more than that. Maybe I'm being a bit too cautious.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're erring on the side of caution there, Gav. But that's our 50 stat for episode 50. We don't have much else, but we do have a few tournaments we can talk about at least. All the grass court tournaments as the grass season develops. We've got Halle, we've got Birmingham, we've got Berlin, and we've got Queens. We'll talk about all of those in this episode. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about qualifying. I might cut this out if we don't. But we'll see. Yeah, we might talk a bit about Wimbledon qualifying as well, because it's already got underway. I think we can just dive straight in, Gav.
Let's go for it.
Start with Halle.
Start with Halle, yeah, if you want. What's the official name of it? It's all these German tournaments have got like bizarre names, like the Terra Wortmann Open, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I didn't recognise it when it came up in Prime. You know, when you've got this tournament selection, like what the hell's that? I've never heard of that. And then I clicked it. Oh right, Halle. You know what I mean? So
I think I picked the right matches this week, Gav, because I wasn't really bothered by the shadow this year, to be honest.
Oh, the shadows were awful. Really,
I
really
definitely
bad.
picked the right
You
matches.
did. You did.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of it because the field in Halle was brilliant, and the shadow was horrific, especially around about 12 o'clock. You know, midday.
Yeah.
You just can't see the ball at times. It was kind of a sort of a challenge to try and find where the ball was, but no, a very, very, very good week. Very strong field.
To be fair, like it is the single worst visual in men's tennis, I think.
But it's up there with Madrid, isn't it? You know, some of I think it's the Rancho Sanchez Vicario court in Madrid, which is really bad for the shadow because it's got that sort of weird roof thing over it. It doesn't
Hamburg
fit
as well.
Hamburg, yeah, they cleared the 500 event, yeah, definitely. But it's up there. I mean, it's pretty difficult to follow the ball, but no, obviously, very good week for Hubert Hurkacz getting an ATP 500 title under his belt. Was that the first 500 title he's won? I think, yeah. So he's broken the Tsitsipas curse. Tsitsipas is still waiting for his first 500, and Hurkacz has got his.
At the same time, obviously, massive stat is that Hurkacz did it the first time of asking.
Yep.
Tsitsipas has had 8 or so chances to.
Yeah, he's sort of got like the Ivan Lendl record in Grand Slam finals before winning one. It's sort of like Tsitsipas's record. Even worse, yeah, it's like double worse. Yeah. Very good week for Hubert Hurkacz. Obviously, getting the title came to a very difficult draw.
He did.
Ugo Humbert first up, and if you'd asked me 2 years ago, maybe even last year, if there was a player that could make a surprise run at Wimbledon, I would have said Humbert because he's got massive weapons. Obviously, we've talked about this before on the pod. He's got massive first serve, big forehand, and his backhand's pretty solid. But
you should mention, obviously, he's defending champ as well.
He is defending champ, of course. Yeah, that's right. That's why I would have put him in the bracket for Wimbledon. And he reached the 4th round of Wimbledon in 2019 as well. Beat Roger Alessim in the 3rd round that year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year has been a really difficult one for him. Ever since beating Medvedev at the ATP Cup, his level has just fallen off a cliff. Fallen off a cliff.
That was the single biggest hype start to a season.
It was. I remember how excited you were about that. You were proper buzzing, like you were.
I was actually, yeah.
It was a fantastic match, and it's sort of like since then it's just fallen off a cliff. I don't know what's happened. I think it's just the consistency for him. I think it's almost shot selection and discipline. I think are the two key areas that he needs to work on because he's got the weapons. It's sort of like Shapovalov, but maybe slightly. In fact, it's probably exactly like Shapovalov in terms of. You watch him play and you can hit unbelievable winners from all areas of the court. He's got a massive booming first serve. And you think, what's missing with this guy? And it's just the shot selection at times and the discipline. It's rally tempo.
We've mentioned before as well his return percentages are pretty poor for somebody of his caliber. Certainly in the top 50, he must be bottom 5 for that ranking. Like in terms of return point percentage. One, I think he misses a lot more returns than he should.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a timing issue. He's obviously got pretty good timing. It might be a swing issue. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to take too big a cut of the ball every time he goes.
I think he needs to try doing the chip return a wee bit more. I think that
I've never seen him do that, to be fair.
I think that could be the same for a lot of players actually, trying to use the chip return, because how often do you see players just like trying to hit flat returns or trying to hit almost like ground stroke style returns and not being able to do it consistently? And it is the major discrepancy, I think, between the top 5 and maybe from 5 to 10. So we like players ranked 1 to 5 and players ranked 5 to 10. And probably even a bigger discrepancy if you're just taking the big 3 into consideration, how good they are at returning compared to the lower half of the top 10. It's just, I think it's a big difference. But yeah, that was a good win for Hurkacz, because Humbert actually played very well in that match. It was a very, very strong competitive match, and Hurkacz did well under pressure. I think he won, was it a tight tie break in the third set or first set. He had a very good tie break record this week anyway, throughout the whole week. So he got through that one. And then he another great match win for him was Auger-Aliassime, 2 tie-break sets as well in the quarterfinals. This is from the quarterfinals onwards. Auger-Aliassime played very, very well. Again, very high-quality match. But in the big pressure moments, Hurkacz proved to be clutch, especially on his serving. His serving was really, really good throughout the match. And really, Auger-Aliassime found it really difficult to even get into Hurkacz's service games. So that was a phenomenal performance. And I think one of the matches of the week, maybe even one of the matches of the grass court season, the semi-final against Kyrgios, absolutely phenomenal match. Bizarre, very fast match as well, even though it was 3 sets, very quick 3-set match. Literally was decided on by the very finest of margins, because basically the plot for the whole match was nobody could break one another's serve. It was literally great serving, brilliant holds of serve, but actually when it came down to it, Kyrgios was a bit passive. In the second set, I believe, he had love 30 in, I think, the second Hurkacz service game in that set.
It might have been even deeper in the set, actually. I think it might be
deeper in the set. It was 3-0, but yeah, it was sort of, it was in the second set, and he had love 30, and he was just a wee bit passive during the rallies. I thought the forehand, he maybe left it a wee bit short, wasn't going for it as much, almost saying to Hurkacz, letting him have the momentum in the point. And he didn't play his usual style that was like being so successful for him throughout the match, because like Kyrgios was playing really aggressive tennis and it was paying off for him. And in the big moments, he was just a wee bit passive. Hurkacz held that game, and I think he took a lot of confidence from that, because his level did sort of increase, I would say, from the middle of the second set as well. I thought he went to another level, and obviously came through the second set tiebreak and came through a very tight match. But Kyrgios played very well all week.
Yeah.
And the final, I think, was possibly the best match Hurkacz has played of his career in terms of return of serve. I thought his return in the final was outstanding. Did not expect that at all. When you're looking at the 2 potential finals, you think Berrettini, Krajinovic, or Hurkacz Medvedev, which one's going to be the really tight one? And obviously the Halle final really stood out, and I'm thinking, well, that could be a long 3-set match. Obviously you've got Medvedev, who's usually so good in the return, had made a grass court final the week before as well, and you've got Hurkacz, who's got brilliant aggressive weapons, but maybe it's questionable in the return, especially the forehand return. So I was sort of expecting a really close, tight match, and immediately Hurkacz just came out the gates flying. Medvedev, it's been much noted about Gilles Savara and his, shall we say, polite conversation. Well, it wasn't really polite, but it ended up in Gilles Savara leaving about, I think, was it 20 minutes into the match? It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, right at the start of the second set. Having a big scream at him, and he had to walk out, basically.
Yeah, he walked out, and really, I think he just couldn't find it mentally after that. He was sort of all over the place, looking at his wife in the player's box, sort of just, he didn't have the attitude. But to be fair, Hurkacz played really, really well. He could have won that second set by a double break. He was barring a brilliant Medvedev down the line passing shot on the backhand. It could have been a double break. Could have been like 2-2.
Yeah, a few things on that. Yeah, first thing, I thought Hurkacz, I think Medvedev played below average, definitely. He was serving a little bit dodgily. Some shots he would normally hit, missing the court. Certainly in the longer rallies. However, he wasn't a million miles off an average level for him. I just thought Hurkacz was phenomenal. I don't think he'll play a better match like that than that for a while, because I don't think he put a foot wrong. Like he literally did nothing wrong. The approaches were perfect. The forehand was aggressive. Serve was amazingly placed. Like I'm talking like 140 miles an hour down the tee, like right in the corner. Unplayable stuff, basically. I mean, I don't think Medvedev had a break point. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
No, he
anyway.
didn't. He didn't.
Like, he barely came close in any of Hurkacz's service games. It was incredible, and the forehand in particular, like that's a big deal. Like, and you saw the camera like cutting to Craig Boynton every so often, and he had a big like cheeser in his face, like just thinking, obviously just thinking like we practiced that, and he's actually doing it in a match. Like,
yeah, he was loving it throughout the entire match. It was funny just like seeing the contrast in the coaching box. You've got like Medvedev, you got Savannah and Medvedev's wife just looking glum. It just immediately cuts to Craig Boynton, who looks like he's just like having the happiest moment of his life. Honestly,
yes,
chilled out.
He was really happy, and I think that was why, because it would cut to him after he played like sort of 1-2 aggressive forehands, and I mean they were good. Like, you could tell the way he's striking the forehand is completely different. He's not doing that thing where he kind of spins up the back of it and it sits up for his opponent. It was
going flatter, yeah.
Yeah, he's going flatter. He's going more aggressive into the corners. It's not easy to do, and obviously it takes ages to get that right. But it's starting to work for him. He's starting to put it together. Maybe, I think that it all could be a little bit of a byproduct of the serve, because as soon as you feel like you're serving a bit better, you start loosening up in your other shots. It's like,
yeah, you become more confident, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if I miss this shot, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because I'm going to have an unreturnable serve in the next point anyway, sort of thing. So
yeah,
it was really impressive. He's now, I don't know if you know, he's 5 finals played, 5 titles won.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad, I know. And ironically, the opposite stat, Medvedev is now 5 consecutive finals lost.
Yeah, that's a big surprise, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
People are questioning whether there's still mental scarring from Australia, and that could be the case, but
maybe.
I don't know. It's an odd one, isn't it?
In fairness, there was Paris Masters and the World Tour finals before Australia that he lost as well.
Yeah.
And then it was the 2 grass court finals back to back. And actually, I mean, to make 2 finals, the stop on grass is still impressive. So
yeah, considering it's not his best surface, he's shown a good level of consistency, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's all a little bit anticlimactic, doesn't it? Obviously, it feels like
because you can't play at Wimbledon, obviously.
Yeah. So it's all just kind of question marks for nothing in some ways. But
it's experience for next year. If you look at it from a positive frame of mind, you'll go into the grass court season next year thinking, look, I played well last year. I'm a bit more comfortable on this surface.
Yeah, I actually, I'll say it now. I think Hurkacz is a bigger favourite than Berrettini.
I would probably agree, just because of the level of returning, and I think his level all week. If you look at Berrettini's week at Queen's, and you look at Hurkacz's week at Halle, I thought Hurkacz played the better tennis quite comfortably, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I think Berrettini still had some spotty moments and kind of bailed out by his serve.
Yeah,
Hurkacz was literally unplayable. I mean, Kyrgios didn't play a bad match at all. Just Hurkacz, literally perfect in some ways. Like the match tie break, there was one mini break of serve. It was a return basically on the baseline, as you say. It was the return performance that won it for Hurkacz. So yeah, really, really impressive. I'm really excited to see what he does at Wimbledon. And if he played Berrettini, I'd make him the favourite.
I think so now, yeah. Obviously, they played in the semis last year, but I think that was different because Berrettini had the experience of playing major semi-finals before. Hurkacz didn't. I think this year it'll be a vastly different match.
Definitely. Right, moving on to the next tournament. Can we move on to Birmingham, Gav?
Move on to Birmingham, yeah. You want to take the lead in this one?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, it was Bia, I think is how you is how she prefers to be addressed. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Beatriz Haddad Maia, whatever, either or. I should just say BHM. Has now increased her match winning streak to 10, having won
back-to-back titles.
Nottingham last week. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was not. It was Nottingham.
Yeah. Now defeated in this winning streak Kvitova, Halep, Sakkari, Georgie, and Risk in a run to 2 titles in a row. So incredibly good set of scalps there, definitely. I would like to talk a little bit about the epic she played against Halep, because I thought that was very telling and is quite a good indication of her form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you'd agree with this, Gav, but I feel like anybody who beats Halep, anybody who beats Halep, I think that's always a good barometer of whether or not somebody's in form.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you've got that spot on there.
Yeah, because it's the same sort of effect as, for me, Djokovic in a way. Well, Djokovic's game is pretty different. There's similarities to Halep in that their movement is impeccable and they'll pretty much get any ball back into the court. So you've got to play something phenomenal to beat them. And I think, like, if you look at Qinwen Zheng in the French Open, obviously she was playing amazingly there. She beat Halep there, despite the panic attack from Halep, of course. Ons Jabeur at the Madrid Open, we've seen how Jabeur's, career's panned out for the last 2 months. It's been amazing. Swiatek at Indian Wells, that was right at the start of her run. Ostapenko in Dubai was good in Dubai, obviously, but then maybe not so good after that, to be fair. But it always forces you. I think if you're going to beat Halep, you're always forced to play something a little bit different from how you would normally play. Something.
You're forced to go out your comfort zone, aren't you? Yeah, exactly.
And I did think Haddad Maia, I'm sure a lot of other people did as well, were under the impression she was big first serve and maybe +1 forehands, but that first serve advantage was completely negated against Halep. So it was, she was kind of brought into Halep's world of counter-punching tennis and having to rely on incredible movement, and she only just pulled it off. I mean, I think Halep won one more point in the match. It was a really tight free-setter, but she was brilliant, like a really aggressive backhands, which I was surprised at. I didn't think she'd be able to pull that off, but some of the backhands she was playing was amazing. It's probably just an indication of, she's on a 9-match winning streak at that point, or whatever it is, 8-match winning streak. It's probably just a lot of confidence, to be fair. But if she brings that confidence into Wimbledon,
who knows? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Completely different from when they played in Australia. Halep won 6-2, 6-love at that time, and I mean, Haddad Maia's first serve was taken away in that match as well, but she had no idea how to deal with it. She's kind of, how makes you run so much. That's what happens, that you run around the court after a big long rally. So the opponent tends to go for something massive that had no chance of going in, and that's how that match played out basically. And I think having had the experience of playing Halep before, she had an idea of how to beat her this time. New career high of number 28 for Haddad Maia. 100% seeded for Wimbledon now. Meeting a member of the top 10, to be fair, early is hardly a worry.
Yeah.
But it still helps, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you a boost and it gives you that confidence. I think you sort of got a wee bit of protection if you're seeded. But as we know, in the women's game, that's not really, that doesn't turn out to be the case a lot. Especially you see high seeds going out regularly in the opening round of majors, but she's got great form. So let's see how she does.
Exactly. Yeah. She beat Shui Zheng in the final, but it was a retirement, so I didn't think that one was worth talking about. The real final was kind of
the semi-final. Yeah,
definitely. I thought it would be quite interesting just to pose the question. I think she's one of the few players that could bother Swiatek at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I think, with Swiatek, she is going to be rushed a lot more by the big servers and, the woman that can hit bigger balls off the ground. But I agree, she's definitely got a great chance. But I could flash back to thinking about what we were saying before, Roland Garros, but Ons Jabeur being the big challenge for Swiatek and that just falling apart within about an hour and a half of the opening day. Yeah. So it's just so tough to predict. But equally, she's got 100%. She's got the potential to do it. Will she do it? That's the big question. It's so interesting. We could do these predictions and the draw comes out, and it can just throw a span on the works.
Yeah, I think more my point was though, like you could take a brilliant player like Halep that Haddad Maia played in the final, and some people might say, she's got a chance against Swiatek. For me, Halep's game, matchup wise, I don't think she does have a chance against Swiatek at the moment, the way Swiatek's hitting the ball. I don't think you can rely on counter-punching crazy top spinning shots from Swiatek to win the match. Like,
Halep's not playing her best at all at the moment, so it's like she's not even got the best of form to,
Yeah, like she's played some good matches, but I agree. I think even if she came into the match playing 90%, I still think Swiatek would win.
But who knows, maybe Patrick Mouratoglou's got the secret, formula, the secret tactical game plan to maybe, formulate an upset, but that'll be interesting.
That will be interesting, yeah. At the same time, I mean, she made the semis here. That's our result, I suppose. But I was going to say they kind of went resultless over the course of their joint career so far.
Partnership so far, yeah.
Yeah. I would say Haddad Maia, basically, just to elaborate on that point. I've said it in the past. I'll stick to it. You absolutely need that serve to beat Swiatek. You will need some sort of way of winning a few free points on serve if you're going to beat her, because there's no way you're going to come out on top in the majority of the rallies. So you have to have a way of winning 3 points. Haddad Maia's got that with the lefty serve. There are bigger serves on the tour. However, it is still very strong in its lefty sort of swinginess and the height she delivers it from. And then, well, the fact she's a lefty, there's not loads of lefties that can hit the ball quite like her, basically, off both wings. And I think the lefty forehand for her could be effective against Swiatek's backhand. I know Swiatek's backhand is good, of course it's good, but it's not anything like her forehand and its sort of godliness. It's kind of just a very good shot rather than something otherworldly. So there's a chance. There's definitely a chance.
There's always a chance, yep.
Well, there's no. That's what I'm trying to say, Gavin. I don't think there is always a chance for some players.
There is always a chance.
Well, there is actually, but I think on paper I would back Halep, for example.
If you're taking the realistic approach or the negative approach, then you'd probably say the Halep game doesn't match up. But then you think to yourself, well, Halep is a Wimbledon champion. She's won Grand Slams before. She's got Patrick Mouratoglou in her corner. It might not work out with Patrick, but to be fair, give him some time. I love it how immediately if somebody joins up with a coach, we're all saying he should have won 1 billion Grand Slams by now. Who was it? It was somebody, I can't remember who it was, but a pundit was saying, they've had a very poor start. I'm like, well, if they're making the semis, I'll take that as a very poor start.
At the same time, Gav, Patrick Mouratoglou is not doing himself any favours by apologising for that, within the first few weeks.
No, he's not. No, but we know what Patrick's Instagram is like. It's a journey going through it. That's for sure. That's all I'll say. I actually wish I'd got him to write some of my English essays at uni because that post was just wow.
He can talk some amount of. If you
see if you need like a 4,000 word count and you're stuck in 3,500 words. And you're looking for 500 words to fill the essay out. I'm calling Patrick 9 out of 10 times.
He can fluff that up definitely.
He certainly can. Can, but it's always an entertaining read. Put it that way.
Very true. On that, Patrick, put down. Let's move on to.
Put down, mate.
Let's move on to. But yeah, you do find him entertaining, Gav. That's true.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
You saved yourself for that.
He's emailing me coaching advice. I'm on the mailing list, so okay. I'm getting people emails from the guy. So I'm the equivalent of a season ticket holder.
For the Patrick Mouratoglou fluff. Yeah, I love it. Right, well, let's move on to Berlin, where Patrick was nowhere to be found. We had Ons Jabeur winning that tournament. This is going to be a similar discussion to the French Open, Gav. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, but I will let everybody know what happened throughout the tournament. First, for me, the most interesting match for Jabeur was her semi-final against Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff not the most suited to grass, but obviously can play on grass because she's a brilliant player and she has weapons that do transfer to grass. I still think she's better suited to clay, but
she's made the 4th round of Wimbledon, hasn't she? So she does have grass court pedigree and success behind her.
Yeah, it's the backhand in particular looks amazing on grass, and then her serve, obviously, serve's big enough to win her some free points on that as well. But yeah, their semi-final was really high quality stuff. I thought it was one of the best matches of the 4 tournaments that I saw. I would like to talk quickly about Gauff's quarterfinal first, just to give you an idea of her mentality at the moment, how mentally tough she's performing on court every time she takes to court. Against Karolina Pliskova, she saved 4 set points in the first set. I think one of the most telling moments was the second set point, I believe. Mm-hmm. She had... It was 30-40, basically. Pliskova missed the return of Gauff's. It was a big, massive serve down the tee. However, Pliskova had her hand up, basically was saying she wasn't ready. This was up to the umpire, I guess, to see it. Gauff was kind of just in the zone. She does the serve.
Yeah.
Gauff had a little bit to say to the umpire, basically saying,
Well, you played at server's pace, don't you? That's what it comes down to.
Not really on Pliskova, to be fair. Gauff was saying, you should have told me that Pliskova had her hand up, basically. That's...
I don't know. I think when you're serving, you always look at your opponent before. Well, at least most players do. You look at your opponent.
Some players,
ready.
Yeah. Some players don't, I suppose. But yeah. Anyway, you're right, Gav. I mean, it was on Gauff, and the argument with the umpire lasted all of about 10 seconds. Uh-huh. She missed her first serve, and then she hit an unreturnable second serve down the tee. And I thought incredible composure. Went on to save another 2 set points. One of them was a really funky short return, basically from Pliskova, one of those ones that only just goes over the net and ends up being a really difficult shot for the server. But very last minute change in grip, dropped the ball short. This is the sort of net playing stuff that I love from Gauff, that makes her such a good doubles player. Adaptability, basically. Composure on top of that as well. Just those two traits, adaptability and composure from Gauff, got her out of that set and she ended up, or that hole basically, and she ended up winning the set overall. And so impressive. I was so impressed with it, and it's just shows you basically her form from the French Open is still lasting, Gav.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that confidence is going to last for a while. And as we said, I think we said it when she first, burst onto the scene. Give her time. I think 90% of people haven't given her time. I think we're maybe in the 10% that have given her time, and now we're saying, look, what's happened now? She's getting better, improving her game. Mentally, she seems to be able to deal with the pressure better, I think, as well, and tactically very astute. So I'm looking forward to watching how her sort of career progresses.
It's exciting because I think she's one of the adaptability factor. The fact she doesn't just hammer it from the baseline, it makes her a really interesting player to watch. Like she could be a really, really interesting sort of top 5 player in a few years' time, maybe less than that. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, though, the match against Jabeur. Just want to talk a bit about that and how Jabeur was able to beat Gauff and why it was so impressive, and why I will stick to my feeling that Jabeur is one of the favourites to win. I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me, but if I were to say top 2, Gav, is that a stretch?
I don't think it's a stretch at all. I think it's definitely a possibility. Yeah, I think you're probably in the right ballpark there. Maybe top 3. Maybe if you want to be really safe and sort of give yourself a bit of protection, top 5. But I think that's maybe just taking the negative approach. I think if you're looking at it on form at the moment, top 2, top 3.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously top 2, we all know what we're talking about there. Yeah. Second, obviously. Yeah. But I like the way she dismantled Gauff, her transition game in particular, Gauff's ability to come forward, talking about that adaptability and how most people don't deal with it very well. Jabeur's ability to deal with somebody approaching the net is impeccably good and probably the best on tour. She has the passing shots. She has the variety to chuck it over their head if she needs to. In fact, she did that a lot against Gauff, and Gauff had no idea how to respond to it. Didn't get back in time to hit the smash ever, basically. She must have just about halved her net points won, maybe even less than that, actually, because Jabeur just had every single way of dealing with it. I would absolutely hate to approach the net against Jabeur because you have absolutely no idea what's coming.
Yeah, absolute headache.
Yeah, and that's what was so impressive. It could be anything, basically. She can pass and she can do the lot, basically. And that was one of the biggest reasons she won the match. Certainly in the tie-break, there were a few important points that went Jabeur's way, just with a few net approaches not going Gauff's way. And in the backhand as well, I think this is why it's maybe not the best matchup for Gauff. Like, normally Gauff would be able to get the upper hand with her own backhand on grass, but somehow, this is only recently, because I don't think Jabeur's backhand was quite as good as this. It was more solid than the forehand, but it wasn't the shot she attacked with. She attacked, she got a winner or forced an error with her backhand more often than her forehand in this match. And that's not something you would have attributed with Jabeur, say, even a couple of months ago, or even last year in the grass. That's the thing. So really impressive. Doesn't drop shot as much as she would basically on clay, but enjoys slicing on both wings to kind of keep the ball low. A lot of variety throughout, but also has the power on the backhand in particular to find a way through her opponent. So it's going to be really tough to beat her. Yeah, I don't know if you saw any of her last year. I don't know if you remember, but she beat Swiatek in the fourth round.
Yeah, she did. That was one of the best matches of the year, wasn't it? Let alone
when Jabeur peaks, and I suppose the counter worry is when Jabeur is not so good.
Peak. Yeah,
and that's why it's quite hard to stick to top 2. But when she does peak, she's unplayable. End with Queen's, Gaff.
Yes. Send with Queens. I'm glad you didn't call it the Cinch Championships, because I just hate that. It's just like, no, get that off. It's Queens. It's Queens.
Cinch is quite a cringy company as well. Just just
like the purple background all over the court looks like bloody hideous, like a doll's house or something.
I don't know if you've seen the adverts, but it's that.
Yeah, I don't want to have PTSD over that, please. No, you're all right. You're all right. Let's stick to firmly on court stuff.
Yes,
please. 100%. So yes, not a very, very good tournament. Strong field, not as strong as Halle, but then again, I think that made it maybe slightly more interesting in terms of who could come to to the front, the forefront. Casper Ruud was the top seed, and he didn't last long. He was knocked out in the opening day by Ryan Peniston.
Stick to the golf course. I think golf courses, even for grass, as Casper Ruud would say.
Yeah. I don't think he played dreadfully. I've seen players play far worse for not playing that much tennis in grass. But Ryan Peniston obviously had the experience of playing in grass for a few weeks leading into that. He'd played challengers. He played Nottingham Challenger, for example, the week before. I think that does help. Yeah, it does help. And he caught Casper Ruud a bit cold and played a great match to beat him. And that was the number one seed out in the opening day, which probably the tournament wasn't too happy about. But it's a good watch. Anyway, makes it a good watch.
Who was it on the other side? Yeah, on the women's side. Jodie Burrage was another example of somebody who's had plenty of time to warm up in the grass, and now she's doing the odd upset. She's just beat Martic in Eastbourne.
Yeah.
That, but
I did see that yesterday. Yeah.
Also made the final of an ITF event as well. Beat a few really good players there, Hontama and Cartal as well. Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Stan Wawrinka got the best win of his comeback so far over Francis Tiafoe. Absolute epic match, wasn't it?
It went under my radar until like halfway through the week. Phil was like, "Oh, did you see that match with Stan and Tiafoe?" I was like, "Is Phil talking about a match from like 2 years ago? Like, what's going on?"
No, I mean, it was phenomenal, to be fair. I mean, Tiafoe, I think, was serving for the match in the third set, and I was sort of putting my negative hat on, thinking, no, so close, but so far. But Stan managed to turn it around and sort of did Marin Cilic-esque celebrations at the end, which is always good to see, especially with the Queen's crowd, who, let's be honest, some of them aren't the most knowledgeable and didn't really know how to react, which was quite entertaining to watch. That was a great match. Obviously, Stan would lose to Tommy Paul because he just ran out of gas. I think that took so much out of him that he just didn't have the same level of energy to put in a similar performance against Paul. Speaking of Tommy Paul, beat Denis Shapovalov in a rematch of the Stockholm final from last year. I know it's a bit of a hipster stat, that one. But I love my 250s, so you've got to mention that.
I remember that match quite well, Gav. It was quite unfortunate for Shapovalov. I think he had a few chances there.
Yeah.
Taking it, but this is more just an indication of Shapovalov's current form, isn't it, rather than much else.
Tommy Paul is a very, very solid player. I think he can definitely have a good run at Slam if he gets the right draw.
Shapo is, to be fair to him, he's not really losing to he's not losing to who was it last year?
Victor Capriva.
Yeah. That it's not that sort of, and obviously no slight on Capriva, who is also a good player, but he's ranked outside the top 200 at the time for a reason.
Yeah.
Shapo's still losing to like top 100 players for sure, but he's losing. He's losing a lot.
Yes, he is, and he needs to sort that out. Maybe it's tactically, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, it's discipline, rally tempo, and shot selection. Really, he's got the talent. So Berrettini obviously won the title. Probably played his best tennis, I actually think, in his opening match against Dan Evans. I thought he served really, really well in that. Dan had a bit of a nightmare in terms of just couldn't get the ball back into play regularly enough. Really couldn't put any pressure on Berrettini. I think it was like 3-4, but it was a comfortable 3-4. It was one of those.
Yeah, actually
3-3 was it? 3-3.
Yeah, obviously 3-3 can be quite
a bit kind to Dan there, to be fair, because I thought Dan, he just couldn't do much, could he? I mean, I thought it was a pretty incredible performance from Berrettini, and that was the highlight of his week because after that I think he was very scratchy. Played Denis Kudla, was a set down, and actually
it's such an interesting matchup, Gav, because I think for people who don't know much about tennis, again probably the Queen's crowd for example, watching the match would have just been like, what the hell's going on? How's this guy beating the Wimbledon finalist?
Denis Kudla is like your quintessential grass court specialist, to be fair.
That as well, exactly. But it's all it extends to that backhand, I think. Kudla's backhand is better than Berrettini's, for sure.
If
they get into that exchange, Kudla's going to come out on top.
I tell you, Kudla's actually, he's played a couple of matches against Djokovic at Wimbledon. I think he's had set points in them as well. Like he can trouble the best. They played a really good match in Court 1 last year in the third round, where it was like very tight. I think it was 3, 4, and 6, but like the third set tiebreak, Kudla did have set point, I think. So he's a very good player. But I thought again he had chances. Kudla, I think, was a wee bit passive when he had this chances in the second set. Berrettini did improve his level, to be fair, but he was very, very flat. Not really. But I guess, you can give him maybe a bit of leeway having won the title in Stuttgart the week before. He was always going to be a wee bit tired considering how he'd just come back from injury, but equally it was very flat-footed, I think it would be fair to describe that performance from Berrettini, and probably Berrettini throughout most of the week, being honest with you. Again, against Tommy Paul, when he played Tommy Paul, he was 4-1 down in the first set before miraculously turning it on. I don't know where that came from, but he managed to win, what was it, something ridiculous, 10 games in a row, 11 games in a row, something like that.
Must have been, 11 of the last
12 games, something like that, yeah.
15 games. But
to be fair, Tommy Paul's I think his focus, he lost a wee bit of focus there. I think he felt a bit too comfortable at 4-1 up. He missed a couple of sloppy forehands. Berrettini loaded back in.
I feel like Tommy Paul should be a really good grass quarter.
Yeah, I agree. He's got all the sort of tools in his game, doesn't he? But he just I think it's the focus. I just think it's the mental focus, maybe.
He comes forward really well. I remember in Stockholm, he was insanely good at his transition game, and
that's a really fast court as well in Stockholm.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. It's just focus. I think mental approach. Maybe get a psychologist or something would help him. Maybe get to that next level because he's definitely got the tools in his game and the variety of skills in his game. And then semi-finals, Berrettini came through Botic van de Zandschulp, which so many commentators seem scared to pronounce. I don't know why. It's relatively simple.
It's not that hard, is it?
It's not that hard. People are making out as if it's like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but it's not. It's Botic van de Zandschulp. It's not that hard. Botic had a very good week. Again, he played a very good match against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, where he served really well. I think that was his quarter-final. Sort of a random. I didn't expect Davidovich Fokina to make the quarters. To be fair, fair play to him for making the quarters, having a good week on the grass. But Botic's got the weapons. We know how good his serve is. It was interesting listening to Mark Petchey talk about his racket face is a wee bit too open upon contact on the serve for Mark Petchey's liking. In other words, he doesn't get the full pronation that other players get, which was quite a good technical listen from Petchey. But despite that, he still hits the ball at 130 miles an hour, so I don't think Botic will be having sleepless nights over
over lost pronation. Yeah.
over any lost pronation. I think he'll be saying my serve's good enough as it is. But good win for Berrettini. That again, it was sort of really weird the Saturday actually semi-finals game because they hadn't forecast rain, and then there was rain that delayed start to play. There was very much heavier conditions, not really that much sunshine until quite later on in the day. I know I'm going all weather forecast here. And then there was it was very windy, and obviously we'll get on to Cilic's run later on, but the wind played a huge factor in his semi-final defeat. The final for Berrettini, it played Krajinovic, and I'll be honest, I was very negative going in, thinking Filip's not got a chance, really. And I was my worries were confirmed in the opening game when he went love 40 down in about 15 seconds. It seemed when the match started, Krajinovic was love 40 down, but he did hold his own, and he got out of that. And I thought he
played well, but I mean Berrettini, I think every one of the love 40 points was a backhand error.
Berrettini didn't play his best this week, but in all honesty, he didn't really need to. His serve got him out of trouble a hell of a lot of time. At the time, his serve was phenomenal all week, really. That's really what held up what I thought was a very scratchy performance in the return of serve, especially on that backhand side. His return needs to get better, I think. And from the back, he was sort of up and down, hit and miss a lot. Now, the one challenger I thought that would be able to challenge him was Marin, and obviously, I thought going into the semi-final weekend that Cilic Berrettini final could be really interesting. It didn't happen because of the heavy conditions. Marin had played great tennis all week, beat Bublik, came back from 5-love down in the opening set tiebreak to beat Bublik as well. So he was proper pumped up for it. He'd played really high level tennis, got to the semi-finals. Windy, heavy conditions, his ball toss flew all over the place, his forehand went all over the place, didn't find the court. And it was a bit of a mess. Krajinovic was very consistent, and it was that consistency that got him the win. Cilic had just a bit of a nightmare, unfortunately, which is good to get out of the system before Wimbledon, I guess. Have one poor performance, but disappointing.
He'd have made the 2 sets come back.
He would have done. But unfortunately, Queens don't allow that luxury. So, overall, very good tournament. But I do think you're right. Hurkacz did definitely play higher standard of tennis than Berrettini. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of how those results sort of translate into Wimbledon next week.
Yeah. I've got a wee quick bit on Krajinovic and Berrettini in the final. I'll just before we finish, and I'll elaborate on that Hurkacz point as well. Krajinovic obviously able to beat two former champions in Querrey and Cilic, and his win over Brooksby at the start of the week was also immensely impressive, I would have said. Yeah, I mean, he was love 4 on grass before coming into this tournament. Absolutely mad. He said in press conferences normally he did everything in his power to avoid playing in grass. So it was also interesting to hear Mark Petrie say that apparently he had said he doesn't use tactics in a lot of his match, basically. But whether he's using tactics by accident or he's lying, Petrie was quite right in noticing there was definitely some tactical play dispersed for the Berrettini match. And I'm sure for the week, but I didn't really analyse the other matches so much. But at least in the Berrettini match, yeah, there was definitely some stuff going on that worked in his favour. And I think my favourite piece of strategy was on breakpoint down 3-2. Or break up, on Berrettini's serve, so he had to try and get the break back. This was a break back point in the first set. Krajinovic returns deep to the backhand, fine, that's obvious, but then immediately approaches to the backhand in the next shot. Not something that, not a forehand that was immensely great, just going for depth, asking the question of Berrettini, and got a volley to put away. And it's straight out of, interestingly, Djokovic's playbook from the Wimbledon final last year.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Novak had words with Krajinovic.
Maybe a wee WhatsApp message or something. Yeah. Or maybe he's just gone onto YouTube and just watched the full match highlights. Maybe he's done the research himself.
I know they are actually good pals, so it 100% could have been something that happened. Like I don't see why not. Just Djokovic quickly says, like, this is what I tried last year and it worked for me. Like, give it a go. And he didn't shy away from doing it at other points. He used it on pressure points a lot of the time to ask the question of Berrettini. And I mean, he was hitting his backhand down the line constantly, like barely ever going cross court, which was surprising. Obviously, he'd expected to go into the backhand, but he was looking to open up the backhand first. And yeah, I think this is where we saw what could be described as a choke, I guess, because certainly, and there's got to be some sort of tension going into a final when you already love 4 in finals.
Yeah,
you really want to get that first title. It comes down to one crunch moment at the tail end of the first set, and you're asked to deliver it, and you don't. I think that's probably I don't like using the word choke, but what actually happened was it was a cross court backhand, and then he had a pretty standard backhand down the line, not going for anything aggressive, and he netted it on break point. And the one before that as well was a very timid sort of approach out wide to Berrettini's backhand, rather than going for depth and kind of giving Berrettini the angle rather than sort of pushing him back. I think maybe he probably did something tactically wrong there, and then the next one was kind of nerves. So and then it kind of just unravelled in the second. He looked a little bit flat, gave the breakaway really easily to love. It was the kind of match that I would certainly say your previous record in finals kind of explains all of what happened, I would say. Because there's got to be some tension. They're absolutely
there's been massive scarring for what he's made a 250 final, a 500 final, a Masters final, and he's not come through in any of them. But I'm sure he will win one eventually. It's just a question of when.
It's quite tough to keep coming back and be like, if I lose this, that record's just going to keep extending. And I'm sure, like Beneteau, like that would have been what was happening.
But I still think that he's got time, and he's defending his 500 point. Well, not 500 points. He's defending his final in Hamburg after Wimbledon. Maybe he'll play a few of the clay court 250s, sort of do the Casper Ruud route. Maybe try and pick up a title there. It's tricky, but it's a possibility.
I wouldn't expect him to come out on top against a player who's expected to win in the match. I think going as the favourite is the only chance he's going to get, and even then he'll have to play well because it's very difficult to start to overturn that and overturn expectations as well. So because he's probably definitely now the best player who doesn't have a title in the tour.
100%.
Yeah, maybe Botic, but Krajinovic has been around longer. He's done more. I would say probably Krajinovic. Yeah. Final point there. Hurkacz, what you were saying about Hurkacz, definitely still agree with that. One of the biggest reasons I think Hurkacz is a bigger favourite as well, something I didn't mention, is that I think he would have more of a chance against Djokovic than Berrettini.
I agree. He's taken a set off Novak before at Wimbledon, so he's definitely, you're right.
Berrettini, I suppose, but
Berrettini has as well, but I do think you're right. I think Hurkacz has got a wee bit more more. I think he's got a better net player, for example. I think he's slightly better in the return.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gav, I think that's absolutely massive against Djokovic. If you need to have some way of not playing from the baseline, Hurkacz is your only man, I think, that can do it consistently on a grass court and start taking the play forward. Like, he does it so well sometimes that if he's in form, like, it'll be so difficult to counter. Yeah, I mean, slicing as well, keeping it low, that's not that easy for Djokovic to deal with, especially if he's coming forward off the back of it. I think he'll deal with it okay if he's at the back of the court, but if he's slice approaching, could be difficult for Djokovic. And then I'm also thinking the serve. I mean, at the moment, if he serves like that, it's unplayable. I don't.
Yeah,
like, he would get misses in return games serving like that.
Yep.
Because just loosens up a bit. Like it was immense, Gav. I thought it was immense.
It was phenomenal. Career best performance of his career so far.
Yeah, I think so as well. Definitely. Berrettini, 8th ever player to defend a title at Queen's.
Yep.
All the other ones were former number ones, all 7.
Thank God you wanted a quiz question there. I was like,
no, because I can't remember them all. But it'll be like Lendl,
McEnroe, Connors, Murray. That's 4 right off the bat.
And we were only missing 3.
Borg, maybe Borg.
Borg, maybe Hewitt.
Yes, Hewitt did do it. Yes, Sampras. Surely Sampras has got to be in there.
That's probably right, Gav. I think we got it there. Maybe
we've actually answered our own question there.
Yeah, because I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know for sure. And then the other stat, what was that? It did come up at the end of the broadcast. Winners of 2 grass court titles going into Wimbledon. There's only been 3 previous ones. Edmondson in 1981, Hewitt in 2001, and Johansson in 2001. Yep. None of them won Wimbledon that year.
Yes.
But, I mean, that doesn't mean much, but still.
No.
But I suppose, the point there is it doesn't matter that Berrettini's won 2 grass court titles back to back. It's not necessary.
Well, yeah, because on the flip side of that, he might have burned himself out. He might have burned a lot of his energy going into Wimbledon. That's the flip side of it.
He doesn't really have a game that'll burn him out. You know what I mean?
Just with the injury, I think, just for coming back from the injury, maybe he's not got the ability to recover that he had before yet. Maybe he needs to play for a few months to sort of get his body back into the regime of things. But maybe I'm talking nonsense there. I could be talking nonsense. Don't know. I'm not no sports scientist recovery, as you can probably tell. But yeah.
Thanks very much, guys, for joining us in episode 50 of
the Big 5-0.
The Big 5-0, yeah, we're getting old. If you want to catch any of Gav's work this week,
I'm doing some Eastbourne predictions, to be fair. So you can, if you want to put yourself through that, you can check them out. Don't put any bets on based on my predictions, but
or just put the opposite bet on, I guess. Or
you could. I think I got 100% last time. I probably put myself down a wee bit there.
Okay.
They're questionable, but I guess it's questionable, isn't it? So check it out.
Yeah, catch Gav at Last Word of Tennis. I might be doing a few this week as well, actually.
You received the call up?
Received the call up, yeah. It's been pestered. It's probably a word, you know what I mean. And you can catch my blog stuff at onlinetennis.uk. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
On the Online Tennis Podcast. Cheers.
Thank you.